Uh, Hey, what's going on, Real Thoughts? It's your boy Jason coming to you guys one more time with another movie review. I just went and saw It Chapter 2, and I am here to tell you my thoughts on It Chapter 2. So, first of all, I want to start by saying that Pennywise is officially, as of today, or as of this opening weekend, the weakest horror film villain of all times. So I'll say this not because the movie was just that bad, because I mean the movie wasn't that great, but it wasn't that bad. But I say he's the sorriest because in this film, they developed a plan to defeat him once and for all. And when they finally realized how to defeat him, the way to defeat him is so weak that it's just of you got Jason Voorhees and you got Freddy Krueger, you have Michael Myers. All these guys have died several 800 different ways or whatever. You cannot kill these guys, but kill Pennywise is so easy. And I'm not gonna spoil, I'm not gonna say what it is or whatever. I'm not gonna even say whether or not they was able to accomplish it or not. So I don't want nobody saying that I spoiled the movie. But I mean, you're not really missing nothing even if I did spoil the movie. But just know that if Pennywise lived in Memphis, this movie would have been 20 minutes long because the way to defeat him is stupid. So as you can see, just from that comment, this movie wasn't very enjoyable. And going straight into the movie review, um, what I didn't like it. This whole movie was pretty much, and so I went and saw this movie with my sister and her guy and her boyfriend and me and my wife. So um, it was kind of a double date type of thing or whatever. And my sister hasn't seen the movie, so I was a little concerned because I was like, well, I know that the first this movie is gonna have some people from the first movie in it, and I know that the stories are gonna tie in together, or whatever. So I was like, maybe this is the movie that she should see. Maybe she should see the first movie first, and then come back and watch this. If you haven't seen the first movie, there's no point. There's no reason to see the first movie. Because there's no reason to see the first movie if you want to watch this movie. Because everything that they show in half of this movie was the first movie. Like this whole movie, the plot of the movie was pretty much them remembering their past, and they grew up or whatever. The children grew up, and they pretty much forgot what happened with the whole thing that transpired with it or with Pennywise or whatever. So they felt like, or part of their plan was they had to remember their past in order to come up with a plan on how to defeat him. So this whole movie was pretty much, I ain't gonna say the whole movie. Half of this movie was pretty much a flashback, and that was just showing different things or whatever that maybe deleted scenes of what happened in the first movie, or some scenes were actually in the first movie, and just different stuff or whatever. So this movie was it was just a flashback movie, and it was just ridiculous. Um, Another thing that I didn't like about the movie, and this one of the things I didn't like about the movie, I was like, dude, it's enough flashbacks. I need us to stay in prison day so we can stay in the prison and get the movie flowing. Um, Another thing I didn't like about the movie, I didn't like the fact that for me, I have a formula when it comes down to action movies and when it comes down to horror movies. And when it comes down, in order to make a good horror movie, in my opinion, and this just what I feel like is consistent with some of the greatest horror movies that ever happened or whatever. But some of the greatest horror movies always had a comedic person in it just to, break the tension or whatever. Just in case it's too tense or whatever, you have somebody say a joke or something like that and then it breaks the tension or whatever. Keep it interesting even when, there's not a whole lot of scary stuff going on or whatever. Like that comedic person keeps the movie still entertaining and you can still enjoy the movie even when it's not scary. They did have that in this movie. What they didn't have was a high kill and death ratio or survival and death ratio. I feel like that is key when it comes down to horror movies. Not saying that you have to have a lot of deaths in a horror movie, because some of the greatest horror movies, I feel like, in my opinion, Paranormal Activity, the first Paranormal Activity, prime example of that, wasn't a whole lot of deaths in that movie, but there wasn't a whole lot of people and characters in the movie. It has to be a balance. So if you don't have a lot of actors in the movie, a lot of people in the movie, you don't have to have a lot of deaths. But if you do have a lot of people in the movie, there has to be a lot of deaths in the movie to balance it out. And this movie had a lot of people in the movie, and it wasn't a whole lot of people that died in this movie. And for this to be a horror film, that's not acceptable. I'm sorry, that's not acceptable. It wasn't even very scary. Like, my sister is one of the jumpiest people that you ever would meet in your life. And like, you never, this person is that person that you never want to go to the movies to see a horror film with and sit next to, because you'll end up with a black eye, a bruised arm. Like, she's going to be all over you if the movie's too scary. My sister jumped maybe 2 or 3 times in this movie. And that's saying a lot for my sister. So I'm just letting you know right now, this movie is not very scary. And last thing I didn't like about the movie, this movie was way too long. First of all, I'm offended. I'm highly offended, because you have to be very ballsy to come out with a movie that's almost 3 hours long. This movie is almost 3 hours long, and for you to come out with a 3 hour long movie and it's babbage like this, like, I'm actually a little bit offended, because there is like 3 hours out of my life that I could have been spending doing something else that was actually valuable. I literally wanted to walk out on the movie. The only reason I didn't was because my sister and her dad was there, and it was kind of like a double. Like, I was just really trying to, enjoy some family time or whatever with me and my sister and my wife and her dad. And like, the only reason I didn't walk out on this movie was because that was with me. But I just feel like this movie just was a waste of time. Getting back to Don't Let Go. If you haven't seen Don't Let Go, one of the great things about Don't Let Go is they don't waste no time in getting to... Every scene in Don't Let Go had a purpose. Don't Let Go was like an hour and a half, hour 40 minutes, 45 minutes, something like that. And every scene... It wasn't like bad stuff didn't start happening like as soon as the movie started. But every scene in Don't Let Go had a purpose. And there was no like, okay, well, they could have did without this scene or whatever. This movie, full of unnecessary scenes. Full of unnecessary scenes, and this movie really could have been an hour and a half long. And they made this movie 3 hours long. So, I'm sick offended about that. But, I mean, you got to be real ballsy. You got to have... Endgame was almost 3 hours long. But Endgame was a special type of film. And if you're going to do a movie that's 3 hours long, it has to be a special type of film. So, yeah, I heavily deduct points off this movie for that reason. The one thing that I did enjoy about this film was the fact that it was funny. And kind of like the very first It movie or whatever, or the first one to this one. Not the super old one, but the one before this one. They both were funny, and this movie, it was equally as funny. It was actually maybe just a tad bit more funny, which is sucky, the fact that this is a horror movie, but that was the highlight of what made this movie, I guess, in some type of entertaining. But yeah, that's the only thing that was really good about this movie, the fact that there were some laughs, and it was okay. So, bottom line for this film, no rush to go see this in the movie theaters. I promise you'll be wasting your time. Just wait till this movie come out on DVD or on HBO, whatever. That way you can watch some of it. At one point, you can take a break, do something else, and then come back and finish the movie off or whatever. But this movie is not scary. It is funny, but it's way too long. If you want to see a suspenseful type of movie, go see Don't Let Go. It's still in the movie theaters right now. It's better acting in it, and you will definitely jump more in Don't Let Go than... And Don't Let Go isn't a horror movie. It's a suspense, but it's not a horror. But you are even with that being said, you are definitely still gonna jump more and don't let go than you will in It Chapter 2. So that's my movie review. Hope you guys enjoyed it. I'll see you guys later. This just come to you guys with another movie review. Like and subscribe to RealThoughts.net, or like and subscribe to my page on YouTube. I will holler at you guys later.